Hello learners and welcome to Modern World 2. We are starting week 24 and we are on a new project. So hopefully you are wrapping up all of your previous loose ends, taking content assessments, turning in final projects, and being able to move on to this one. Okay, continuity and change since the Cold War. So we're going to be talking about the Cold War, and this week we're going to focus on our power focus areas so we get some core content, and it's going to help you better understand everything that goes into your project. Okay, so there's 3 power focus areas that we're going to be focusing on in the diagnostic. Remember, you are supposed to be caught up on previous projects before you take power focus areas because most of the points, most of your percentage of your grade does come from projects. So please remember that. And then again, we'll work on the different checkpoints. This is a very short project. Not a lot of weeks involved, only 5. So you need to make sure that you're staying on top of things. Okay, so week 24, like I said, we're going to work on the power focus areas. The 3 of them are there. We'll just talk a little bit about the project. And then the next 3 weeks, we'll do the checkpoints, and then we'll end it with the final projects. Okay, so the learning target for this week is I can successfully describe the differing ideologies held by the U.S. and the USSR after World War II and the tension that this caused. Okay, so just take a moment. When you think about the past, you normally think about it being different from today, having changed a lot, or being very similar, having a lot of continuity. So think about, is it very, very different, or, just slightly different because it continued on? So what do you think are some of the biggest changes from the past 100 years, and what do you think has stayed continuous over the past 100 years? So just think about that. To me, personally, I feel like technology, I know it's always been around, but it's just been this technology revolution within the last so many years. I feel like even since I started teaching, the iPod came out like right when I started teaching. I think it was actually one of my first years, and that I feel like kind of sparked everything. And then the iPhone and everything just came from there. Have there been things that have been the same? Think about that. Are there things that are just slightly changed over time? Okay, so that's what we're going to explore with the Cold War. So you're going to look at, read, and take notes on the article, The Cold War Erupts. There's also some other articles for you. There's some presentations to look at. There's a lot of information that goes into the Cold War. It took place over a long period of time, stemming from the end of World War II. And then there's a video called Ideology of the Cold War. So it's going to talk about, the capitalism of the United States versus communism and how very different they are. Please take a little bit of notes on this so that you understand. And then there's a Quizlet on the Cold War. And then after learning about the Cold War, what do you believe this political cartoon represents? So you're going to learn about these men, one being the USSR and one being the United States. Okay, so kind of look at that, notice what they're sitting on, notice what they're doing, notice where Kennedy's finger is pushing and what it could eventually do. Okay, so kind of take a look at that, and you'll better understand that after, of course, you do the lessons. Okay, and then there's a quiz to just review the Cold War. And then after learning about the Cold War, you will write 1 paragraph successfully describing the differing ideologies. So just take a couple notes as you go through, watch the videos, look at the presentations about how different the United States and the USSR were with their thoughts and what they believe was best for their country. Okay, and then just some new information you learn, and hopefully you will learn a lot of new information. Okay, so here's what we're going into thinking as we go into this project. I want to kind of go over this so you know what's happening long term. So what is the Cold War? How did it affect Latin America? In this project, you're going to investigate the impact of the Cold War in Latin America, considering how it impacted politics, the economy, and the quality of life. Further, you are, what are the lasting consequences of the Cold War? You learn about the impacts such as how the Cold War initiated destabilization in many Latin American countries, and this in turn has led to an immigration crisis where many are forced from their countries and seeking asylum. Using all the information, you then identify which of the United States actions had the most significant impact on Latin America. So you're going to learn about what we did, and you're going to try to think to yourself what impacted them the most. You're going to dive deeply into one long-term consequence of the Cold War and trace the development of a particular Cold War topic or issue. And a lot of issues stem from the Cold War and they still continue to today. So you're going to pick one of those. Building a timeline that kind of shows what happened since the Cold War. And finally, you'll assert how your timeline demonstrates the phenomenon of change and the continuity in an evidence-based explanation. So we're going to learn about this. I know it seems a little bit overwhelming, but we're going to break it down piece by piece over the next few weeks. Okay, so this is part of one of the project. So before you can think about what has changed and what has stayed continuous, we need to ground ourselves in what exactly is the Cold War. So we'll be learning about that since Latin America is so close to the United States geographically. It has been involved in U.S. foreign policy decisions for a long time and was greatly impacted by the Cold War. So we're going to see what happened to them and identifying impacts can highlight key moments of continuity and change. Okay, part 2, many of the issues we debate in politics today can be traced back to the Cold War. So we're going to look at some of those issues. The Cold War presents many moments of key change, as well as some continuity. And we're going to understand the past can help us better understand the present and think about the future. Okay, and then some COG skills that will be assessed. The inquiry portion, how you are going to be inquisitive. So we're going to do an argumentative claim. You're going to pick your evidence. You're going to explain it. Tracing a Cold War topic today, organizing and representing this information, creating the timeline, constructing an evidence-based explanation, which of course we will get into. And then the habit of success that's related to this project is the habit of curiosity. So throughout the project, you will have opportunities to reflect on what you're curious about and how being curious about the past can help us better understand the present and think about the future. Okay, so any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. This week, though, we're just focusing on getting an introduction to this project, working on our content assessments if we're caught up on our other projects. Like I said, you need to make sure that you're on track so that you can start this one and complete these power focus areas. Okay, and some of you guys have worked ahead, and I think some of them are already done. Okay, so questions, concerns, please reach out. If not, you have a wonderful, productive week. Thanks.